Hi, Servus, Maßwerk historische Schuhe hier. Today I have a little side fact, because sometimes I think I've, I do too much. I mean, last week I've got sent some shoes to me that I should repair, and I thought, okay, it's not my work, but I can hand stitch, so if I just need to replace the sole, I can do that. And yeah, you do not need to send stuff to England or stuff like that, or I can do that. So we have some really nice 17th, 18th century shoes, and they need a new sole to stitch on. And I was really excited because it should be from a really good historical shoemaker. And I cut open the sole. This is the new one, the old one I just cut open. And I was thinking, the thread is feeling some kind of fishy. That's not a pitch thread. And pitch thread is that kind of thread that you use till the 20th century. It's the thread for shoes. And I do not know if you see it, but the restovers, that is not a linen thread pitched. That is not a good historical thread. That's ein moderner Sehnenfaden. So it's a modern polyester, and it should work like the tenders, die Sehnen, so the stuff that's on your muscles that let you move, but not in animal, more like in modern shit. So he didn't even use a historical thread. And do you see this? That's also a modern shoe filling. That's cork chopped down and then mixed with modern glue. It's not holding anymore, and it's for filling this gap, because here you have a hole. Historical, you just put a scrap piece of leather here inside. Yeah, so on the one side, I've learned something new, how he makes shoes. Especially, I've wondered ever why you see no stitching in here in the frame, because normally you stitch the frame on the sole. And he used a technique where you go between the stitches that sew everything together, and you go in between, so that the thread will vanish in this edge. That's cool. I am not sure if it is historical. I need to look at more originals. I think there is a technique that should be all right. But I was thinking, this guy or this company tells their customers they do historical shoes, as historical as possible, and they have a so good name. People often tell me, yeah, they do not buy 18th century shoes from me because there is in England or in America such a good company that does such a good quality and is even a little bit cheaper than me. I mean, okay, they have a name for 10 years, 15 years. But still, when I at first glance it was like, okay, I'm not sure of the leather. I think it's modern finished. But yeah, good leather is hard to get, so no problem with that. The stitching is fine, but yeah, it's just a modern. It's just a modern thread. I mean, we can try something. One moment. We have here a thread and I have a fire. Yeah, see that? That's totally synthetic. Synthetic thread. Yeah. I mean, all of you, when you're not a shoemaker and you're not really into the material, you do not really see it from the outside if it is a pitch thread or a modern thread. But every time I tell my customers I do historical shoes and I try to be as historical as possible, I yeah, I'm some kind of not sure, cause we do not have 100% evidence how leather was tanned. I do not have. I need to make some compromises. I use thicker leather that the shoes will hold longer than the historical ones. And I'm like, yeah, can I tell that I'm makes historical shoes when my leather is thicker and holds longer? And when I do the last, that it will fit the customer, and we have evidence of some kind of shoes that have just made and they did not really fit the customer and stuff like that. So I'm in trouble inside when I'm telling I do really historical shoes, because I think, yeah, I do not have evidence for some kind of tanning, because it's more modern. It's a modern tannery and they do really historical tanning, so they tan really historical, like historical 150 years old or stuff like that. And they use modern tanning material, so they use oak, but they used grind down oak material, so not the chopped down material. And yeah, it's modern methods. It's not in oak barrels or in barrels anymore, or it is in barrels but in modern barrels. Yeah, I hope you understand my struggle. Because I'm telling people I do historical stuff and I did research the threads. I've made the threads myself. I make the pitch myself. I do so much stuff myself, and research and stuff like that. And I'm still have trouble to tell you that I do historical shoes really good. And then I look at stuff like that with the modern filling inside. And these persons also bought historical shoes. And yeah, then I'm less troubled and think, yeah, in theory I could also just sew it together with a really cheap thread. I do not need to make my own threads. I do not need to make my own pitch. I do not need to make all my stuff my own. I do. Why do I research and work with fixed tanneries? Why do I research and have 5 different kind of goat leather for different kind of shoes for different centuries? Then my customers will not recognize it. And I don't know. Sometimes I'm troubled, and my I am not as fast as I should be, and I try to live from it, so I should getting faster and better with stuff. I know that. So to every customer who's waiting for his shoes, sorry, they will be finished. It will take time, but yeah, all the research and stuff, and sometimes I'm thinking, and nobody does appreciate it, because you most of my customers, so most of you, I'm sorry, but most of you just cannot appreciate it because you are no shoemaker. So you see, they are nice shoes and they are a lot of work, but how much of work it is, you do not really see and can understand because you do not do shoes. And I do shoes and I see shoes like these, and I'm thinking like, yeah, okay, it's a lot of work and it's good work. Some edges are a little bit rough, so I'm less concerned about my rough edges because I see others do it this also a little bit rough and a little bit edgy. But if you look at historical originals, they are way more rough and edgy. But yeah, modern customers and modern eyes that look at your work, so they want modern standards. So, but still, yeah. And then I think about, do I really need to make all that research and all that work and stuff if no one will know it? sorry that I do this kind of video, but I think it's an important part of the work when you do historical stuff. I mean, it's the same if you do clothes or if you are smith and do stuff. There is every time there is some kind of wariness if you work historical enough to tell that it is historical, and how much you can work modern and still tell people that it is historical. And yeah, I think that's kind of the process. I mean, it's only my 7th year as a shoemaker and doing historical stuff. But still, still, I'm not every day, but there are still days when I'm really concerned about how historical I should do stuff. And yeah. See you next time.